I cloned it down and opened it up. So, and then I'll run the tests, which I'm inclined to think would just be rake test.
Yep, I would hope so.
I don't use rake a lot for like executing certain things. I will, but like when I run a test on our machine or on our repo, I do like a Ruby itest and then just like the file path. So I don't actually use rake a lot except for like running, the standard like Ruby stuff. And are you able to see my screen now as well?
Yep.
Great.
Going through great.
Cool. So all the tests passed.
Oh, nice. First try.
That was easy. Man, I wish our repo had a developer experience like that. It's always like, no, here's the 4-page document on how to like Rails S successfully.
Yeah.
But okay, so all the tests passed. I would love to just like pick one of these and be like, all right, we're gonna kind of find find a file.
Yeah, let's break some shit.
Break it, and then try to like rebuild it. And it in my mind, I don't know if this is an accurate mental model, but in my mind, like the file path, like the tree is kind of like it's a tree, right? Like you've got namespace to modules and whatnot, and so it kind of goes down. So it feels like if you broke something close to the root of something, it would have pernicious downstream effects.
Yes.
If you could pluck a little leaf off the end of a tree branch and break that, it might have less pernicious downstream effects. It might break only a single test file. So that's kind of my intuition. I don't know how to go about finding that.
Unfortunate. Yeah. Well, yeah. There are tools that would help us see the relationships.
Okay.
But in this case, you're in luck because I actually have a fair amount of familiarity with the rake code base.
Fantastic.
So we can maybe skip over that part, unless you want to explore those tools, which means.
Do you know or can you recount the name of some of that? I might use them later, but for now, I like just relying on your knowledge.
I know they exist. Yeah, there's a nice one for Rails that's like the ERD Rails or something that you get that like shows you the relationships between all your models, but that's a very different beast. That's not, it's specifically active record models. It's not like.
Also, the typing I'm doing as you're talking is note taking.
Yeah, I do the same. I do the same thing. So if you hear that, RubyMine has some built-in diagramming. You can tell it to just like show you a diagram of the classes.
Okay.
I think there's probably something that will do like a graph viz of classes, but I don't recall it off the top of my head.
I'll Google around and find it later. I'm sure I hadn't even thought to. Usually, I Google hard before I ask questions.
Sure.
I bet like once I know the right terminology to Google, something will come right up. And I have, excuse me, I have it now. So you said you know rake pretty well. So where would you?
So we want something that's relatively constrained, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm thinking one of two places. Maybe the file list. File lists in rake are really cool. Most people don't know how to use them, but they're really cool, and they should have some good tests. The other one would be, what is it called? There's a globbing thing that you can wait. Let's see. Let me look over that list real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. File list. Scroll down a little bit. Yeah, probably file list is as good as anything.
Okay.
File lists are interesting in rake. So file lists are kind of like specialized arrays, and you can do interesting things with them. Like you can say, okay, given, like you could say, here's a file list of 16 different markdown files. Now give me that same file list only with those as .html.
Huh. And is that just like gsubbing .md to .html, or is it
sort of, but it's specialized. It's a bit specialized. It's not a, it's, so what I would say is, let's see. Let's take a look at let's see if we have tests for that.
Yeah, let's see. So it should be test filelist .rb.
Test rake file list.
Test rake
.rb.
file list. Oh yeah. Oh, I was like, there was no test because I fuzzy finded file list test, which is the convention I'm used to, and it came up with nothing. So great. Okay, that's a useful convention.
Yeah, and this should actually give you a decent. So notice that the setup is actually making real files. It's using fileutils to make a selection of real files that then use in its examples. And oh
yeah, so it's just touching a bunch of files with a bunch of different extensions and okay.
Yeah, and then if we go down through there, we should see some fairly self-documenting examples of the things that this should do.
Delegating methods. I'm gonna split the file list class into one side. Okay. Okay, so now it's okay. So file list delegating methods include 2A.
So I think what we're talking about here is basically what things it delegates directly to the underlying array and what things it intercepts.
Oh, so this is like plucking certain methods that might get used and passing some of them to like the standard Ruby libraries, and then others it's processing itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so delegating methods. Oh, okay, so that's delegating methods, and that's probably defined, right? Okay, array methods. Huh. Array instance methods minus object instance methods. Map to it.
Yeah. How long is this file?
435.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Okay. And then this might also be, so speaking of more like intuition things, usually you write I'm used to seeing like stuff at the top of the file getting used a little bit more, and then you got like your private and less used stuff down at the bottom. So my intuition is almost like, rather than take the first test and break it, it'd be more inclined to like take a much lower, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true for this.
You do or you don't think that's true?
I don't know if it's true for this. I mean, one thing you could do here is you could just blow everything away and start making test pass.
True. Oh man, that feels bold. For instance, the __ line. I know I can figure out what this does. I'll figure it out. But like a lot of this is like, if you just deleted this,
programming here.
Yeah, this is big for my britches. That's exactly why I want to do this. By the way, like I want to learn this kind of stuff. Like I'm not going to accidentally stumble across like useful metaprogramming techniques on my own exploration. But
yeah. My intuition here is to start with blowing the whole thing away and then see if we stop learning things, if we run into a situation where we're not learning anything, then maybe retrace our steps on that.
That makes sense.
Rather than spending a lot of time picking what to break.
Yeah, I like that. So then even another tactical comment on blowing it away, would you select all, delete, or copy to another file, or just comment it all out? Like what would you even recommend for doing? I know I could just select it all and delete it or comment it.
Git is a thing, so I would just delete it.
All right. Done.
All right, run the test. Well, let's
all of them or just this one?
Yeah, let's just do the test for this file.
Okay. And then is there a rake convention for running I guess rake isn't going to work right now, so I should just run.
Well, no, because we're not, when we say rake test, we're not using this rake.
Oh, yeah, of course.
We're using system rake, so.
Yeah. So can you do rake test then file name?
I think actually, you know what? You were doing the right thing anyway, because we just want to just run that file. You're right. Ruby and then the test file name.
Or I don't even know what itest is. It's just habit now. So we'll see what. Okay, same thing. Okay, so uninitialized constant file list. Great, because it's gone.
Yeah, perfect. That's a perfect first failure.
Awesome.
That one's easy to fix.
Yep. So we're going to do rake. I'm assuming it's a class.
It's rake colon file list.
Okay, rake colon. Okay, so I see that here.
Mm-hmm.
How did you, I guess that's where you inferred that? Because I was looking at the test rake file list. That's where I copied,
yeah.
not copied, but.
Well, it was a combination of seeing it and also happening to know that.
Okay. But yeah, uninitialized constant rake file list. So as I've been recommended before, read the error messages because sometimes they tell you useful things.
Yeah. Now I'm going to give you a little piece of advice.
Cool.
Here.
So now we have a bunch of erroring tests.
Before we go any further, I'm going to give you a little piece of advice, a little piece of Ruby trivia. You can define a class as like class rake colon file list, but that causes problems in certain circumstances. It is safer to do class rake and then inside it nest class file list.
That makes sense.
Because in a circumstance where the rake module, or actually, I guess it's, I can't remember if it's class or module, but anyway, let's say it's module. In a circumstance where the module is not defined yet, Ruby will be like, I don't know what that is, and I don't know how to make it because I don't know whether the rake part of that path should be a module or a class.
That makes sense.
And in fact, I think it's probably going to complain at you now because it probably wants rake to be a module and not a class.
Okay, we'll find out. Yep, rake is not a class.
Yeah.
So rake is not a class. So like you said, this should be module with class inside?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's always safer than doing the nested version, or doing the flat version, I should say. Nested is safer than flat.
That makes sense.
All right, so now we have lots of passing tests, and now we can just like start at the beginning.
Yeah. Which I'm inclined to just run like the first test in isolation.
That makes sense.
All right. And sure enough, it fails. Uninitialized constant rake file list delegating methods. Okay. This I do not remember. This was, I think it was array.methods. It was like a set intersection of something like object.instance methods.
Just set it equal to banana. Well, like in quotes or something. So
yeah. We're one failure at a time. We don't have to jump straight to the method.
Exactly.
Not passing. This is a symbol into string 35 include. Oh, okay. So it expects this to be inside an array.
Yep, sounds like
it. Oh wow! Hey. Okay. I feel like this isn't the last time we're going to be dealing with this delegating methods object, but in the spirit of TDD, red, green, refactor, we got green.
I like the way you're doing that. I like what you've hooked up now. We can just put append an XX to anything we want to.
Yeah.
Let's keep the XX on the.
Oh yeah. So then we'll just run it'll now run both of these.
Yeah.
Cool. Undefined method size for rake file list. And that's in test create, so filelist.new. Okay, so we want to be able to call it def new, or what I'm inferring, I'd like to hear what you're inferring is filelist needs to be an object and it needs to have something that you can call size on. And there's no, we're not instantiating any new object here.
I concur.
All right.
Do we actually need an initialize?
I don't know. What else? What are the other options?
We get a free initialize as long as it doesn't have to do anything. I mean, what does this test actually say we need? The test says that it needs to respond. Well, first of all, the failure says what? What does the failure say?
The failure says it doesn't respond to size.
All right, let's fix that.
Okay.
That means that clearly line 41 worked. The dot new worked.
Right. It just doesn't have a dot size. So it's probably just going to be this. Like when you if we're looking at this in Pry or something, it would be like, what is FL? And it would be this.
Yeah.
So if we could jam an empty array in there, it would pass.
Yeah, but let's do the simplest thing that'll make this test pass, which is it doesn't respond to size. Let's make it respond to size. You're done.
I mean,
you're done.
That's it.
Or
should I hard code it? Too far? All right.
Far.
I hear you. I've done this with other people. Like, so I still work with like Turing students when they're like getting ready to start Turing and like go through like we have like this mythical creatures repo, and it's just like getting used to like object instantiation, and they do the exact same thing I'm doing right now, and I'm like, no. Read the error message. Don't try to make it green. Just get a different error message. But then when I'm driving, I'm like, Yeah. Okay. So now we got nil. So now it responds to size, but we got nil instead of the expected 0.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, let's get rid of the columns for now, the editor columns for now, and let's just try to work from the test failures until we actually need to look at the test.
Okay, get rid of the editor columns.
So get rid of you're showing the test. You're showing the test in the editor right now, and that's tempting us to actually look at the tests. Let's get rid of that column in the editor for now.
So here,
just have the implementation file open for now.
So hide the test file.
Yes.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah. We can go back to it if we need to, but let's see what we can do just by seeing the failures.
Great. Okay.
Right.
So keep the failures on one side, and so this is the stuff that we want to be seeing. You're saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So it expected 0, but it got nil. Can we fix that?
I mean, we could give it 0.
Okay. Sweet. Let's make another test fail.
All right. Feeling strong about this one.
All right.
All right. Wrong number of arguments given to initialize. So now we have to get explicit with our def initialize. Is what I'm picking up.
Yeah, it looks like. So what does that mean?
That means when they called .new, they gave it 2 arguments, and the implicit .new doesn't accept.
Yeah.
Any
That's
arguments.
what I'm hearing. All right, let's fix that. Definitionalize, foo bar. Actually, there's an easier one. Star.
Yeah.
There you go.
And that'll be it. So now it'll take any number of arguments, and it'll fail because sort is okay. So now it wants. It tried to call sort on the file list.
Let's make it respond to sort.
And it'll respond to it. Okay, then expected. So I bet some of the arguments passed in were this.
Yeah, now I think it makes sense to look at the test.
Okay. Yeah, so the arguments, okay, so it can take any number of arguments, it looks like. And interestingly, it expects abc.c. Okay, so it looks like this is combining something from the delegated methods. I don't have to worry about that just yet. It expects, it's going to give us this, and it wants to get so I could call like args.join .sort.
Okay, so this is where we need to start taking a little bit more notice of the test setup, I think.
Okay.
So if you go back up, so where is it getting this ABC? Notice it says like star.c, but then you've got the output is supposed to be ABC and x.c and xyz.c. So let's take a look at where it's actually getting those. Up in the setup, it's creating a fixture of files, and we've got xyz.c, we've got x.c, we've got abc.c. Yep.
Scroll down just enough to get both. Okay, so yeah, abc.c is there.
Yeah.
x.c is coming in from one of the arguments passed in. xyz.c already exists in the setup, and x also comes in.
So what this says is, if I specify that I want a file list of all of the C files plus the file named X, then I should get back a file list of all the existing C files, and the file called X.
Yes.
So it's basically, well, this is one of the main functionalities of filelist over a standard array is that it has built-in globbing, has built-in shell globbing.
Interesting.
So you can specify star.c and you can expect to get all of the .c files.
Okay, that's a useful functionality.
Yeah.
I'm looking up the library.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a rake. I'm now looking up the documentation that was written as part of this gem. File list. Okay, oh my gosh, this is why this is good for me. We're writing the file list functionality right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't go rely. I was thinking like, oh, I have to figure out what method on the file list library to call to get this function. No, we're building that file list functionality.
Yes, but what you might find useful is look up the documentation for Ruby's core dir.glob.
Dir.glob. Glob. Spans pattern, first argument, matching file names. The block is given, calls the block once. Okay, this will be good because I need to get better with blocks too. Like I see them, I've even written a couple, but I think this will be useful. Okay, so it's like c.star matches all files beginning with C, or star.c matches all files ending with C.
Yeah, well,
okay,
so there's no dots in that example.
I'm sorry, star C, C star.
Yeah.
Equivalent to dot. Interesting.
So any number, star matches any number of characters, any number of any characters.
Right, right. Including not characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it could be the end of a string or.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. 0 to n.
Okay. So I'm inclined to. I feel like the delegating methods might need to get massaged at least a little bit to give us the appropriate setup. No? Okay.
Let's cross that bridge when we get to it.
Great. Oh, because this all exists. I keep forgetting that this setup, like this is
these are actual files.
Fileutils is cognizant of these already existing.
Yeah. Let's see. It makes a directory. Yeah, like you could put an ls in like at the end of that setup, and we would actually see. Yeah, put like system and then the string ls, lowercase system.
Like that?
Yeah. Now run the test again.
Huh. Today I learned. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so these. Okay, cool. So these are all the files already in there.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. Okay, so this test is now also making a lot more sense. I hadn't quite put that together in my mind yet.
So yeah, every time we run, we get this whole set of sample files.
Got it. Okay, cool. So we need to. I think what I'm kind of inferring now is it's touching some new files, and then when it calls .sort, wait, no, it's not touching new.
Yeah, it's not creating them. It's just
files. It just wants a list of everything that matches these criteria. It wants a file list, a subset of the file list that matches these criteria.
Yeah, and this is and the sort is so the sort here is sort of a misdirection. It's sort of a red herring. I mean, yes, we do need to provide a sort method, but the reason the sort, this is not really testing the sort. What this is showing is that, well, or the reason the sorts are in there is it's just making sure that we don't get spurious test failures because
because it's in the wrong order.
Order, exactly.
Right. So that's interesting. So would we say that like this dot sort is going to be a different method than this dot sort?
No, well, no, I think, I mean, well, how are you thinking of implementing the sort?
I guess what I'm thinking is I feel like dot sort. So I feel like most of the work isn't going to happen in a dot sort method. Like we're not going to.
I feel like you're right.
So, but like dot sort, we might have to like get it to a superclass or something. So like dot sort is going to call like self dot like subset result subset dot sort and then return that. So the sort. So there's something, I don't know what would need, like where this would go in file list. I feel like just in the definitionalize.
Well, let's write sort. Let's write the sort method and then write the code that we want to work in there.
Okay, and then we can move it later.
Yeah,
if we want.
So we're gonna need, if we're gonna do the globbing, if we're gonna actually pick up our list of files in the initializer, then we're gonna stuff that into, presumably we're gonna stuff that into an array, right?
Yeah. So
files.
Yeah. Guess
let's just keep.
Oh, I'm sorry. This will be criteria or something, right?
Well, does it? Is it?
Or the files,
or is it a concrete list of files?
Well, the file utils.touch. I guess I don't know how this class would access these things, like because it says it's calling when it calls .new. It seems like in my mind, my mental model is when it calls new, it's going to pass in some like filtering criteria that should then be applied to some list that already exists outside of that particular object.
There's no list that already exists. What there is all these tests are being executed in the context of that directory, of this test directory full of sample files. So it's wherever it's putting these sample files, it's changing the whole process's current directory. To be in that directory. It's probably a temp directory somewhere. Yep. And so imagine that we are sitting in that directory as this code is running.
Interesting.
And we're constructing a list of files based on the inputs.
Okay, that makes sense. So then we would just, as like somehow there's some Ruby, we could just go get this list of files. We could say like current working directory dot file list or something. Yeah. Not file list. That's a.
Like as a matter of fact, let's play around a little bit here. So. Okay. Where does it? Let's scroll up. Let's find out where it actually creates this list. Let's see. Fileutil, super fileutil, Victor. I'm not seeing it putting this in a temp directory or anything. Can you just put where we have system.ls? Can you put above that? Can you put system.pwd or system pwd? Yeah. Okay, so it is it's a temp directory. That's fine. We want to capture that so we can play around in it. Think of one or two ways to do that. Let's just drop into pry. Pry will be a fun.
I love it. I love pry so
much. Let's require pry at the top of the test.
I got it. I just do.
Okay. Yeah.
Goes
yeah.
There.
Perfect. Yeah. All right. Let's run the test. All right.
Okay. I mean, we're in a pry session, so
sweet. Okay. So now let's play around with the directory class. First off, you can do dir dot what is it? CWD, PWD, one of those works. I think it's CWD. I always forget. Oh, it is PWD. All right. There we go. All right. So that's where we are. Now do dir dot entries. Is it not entries? What the hell is it? It's
It's given 0, expected 1.
hang on, it's not. Is it just all? You can do dot children. That'll work.
Dir.children.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Dir.entry should. I don't know what it wants for. This is just. I just did dir.methods.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Dir.children expects.
Oh, chidder maybe. Dir.
No, that's for changing directory.
Oh.
All right. Well, what we can do is dir.glob.
Okay.
And just give it a star first. Just a
like dir.glob
with a string string argument which just contains star.
Oh wow.
Damn it, Zoom, show me the whole screen.
This I think just listed all the directories probably in my home directory.
That's odd.
Repos. No, this is my user. Yeah.
Wait. Try dir.pwd again. Are you still in?
Oh, I bet when I did dir.chidder.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, there we go.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just going to exit the session and get back in.
That explains it.
So dir.glob star. Aha. Okay, so we want to do something with this list based off of the arguments that are being passed into filelist.new. Sorry.
Yeah, so now you can play around with some of the things with glob patterns. So try dir.glob with star.c.
Interesting. That looks suspiciously close to our desired output.
It does, doesn't it? Now try passing an array.
Yeah.
Oh. Passing an array of strings to dir.glob.
Just cool.
Let's see. Is there no x?
There's a x.c star.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is showing a little bit about how the expectations for filelist differ a little bit from just doing a flat, a straight up glob, because a file list. So a glob pattern is like a dir.glob is only ever going to give you the files that are is only ever going to give you files that exist in the directory. Whereas a file list is supposed to be able to, a rake file list is supposed to be able to represent files that either exist or don't exist yet. So it's not limited to just files that exist. But if you give it a glob pattern, so this is the subtlety, if you give it a glob pattern, it's supposed to match that pattern against files in the current directory.
Okay.
Or, you know, whatever directory. If you give it something that isn't a glob pattern, it's supposed to just accept that as this is supposed to be a file in the list, whether it's in this, whether it exists or not.
Interesting.
So
it has to first check if it's a glob pattern and then do something.
Right.
That could be different depending on whether or not that's true or false.
Right. And actually, like the degenerate case here, the simple case here is, you know, imagine if it was just like X, Y, Z, you would just create an array of X, Y, and Z.
Right.
But so that's, you know, you kind of flip it around. That's the easy part. And then you have to be careful of, okay, does this have a star in it? Does this have a wild card character in it? In that case, we treat it a little bit differently, and we apply it as a glob.
That makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to rephrase what you just said, just to make sure I'm picking it up right. So the non-glob. So I'm sure there's more than just stars, but if something is just a string with no special characters, just A through Z, we would assume it's non-globish.
Yeah.
And is there characters besides stars that function as part of glob?
Yes.
Like, could we?
Yes, there are, but I wouldn't worry about them until
Okay.
we run into a test that deals with them.
Okay, so we could basically iterate through each argument given. If it has a star, we do the glob path, and if it doesn't have a star, we do the non-glob path.
Yeah. Now, here's what I would do at this point. I would not try to get all that working at once. I would try for the degenerate case first, and I would say, okay, let's pretend that all the arguments are supposed to be treated as just strings, and we're not. Let's ignore the globbing case for now.
Okay.
What would it look like if all we were supposed to do is just echo the arguments into this array?
Got it. So if we're going to do that, I would, like, dot sort wouldn't be doing anything. It would just be reading off of an existing. Well, I guess we could still put it in sort, and then just refactor it later.
Yeah, we are assigning at files earlier. Let's get rid of the star in the assignment to at files. See how you're doing star? Oh no, leave the star args there. And then let's just stuff args directly into at files. And for sort, we can just do yep, exactly. And then for sort, we'll just do at files.sort. And now
okay, so now we're just going to return. This would return just whatever's given as arguments to new.
Right. Now, so let's run the test. Well, let's get rid of the binding.pry and let's run the test. And now we have a new failure, and that's where I wanted to get, because I get more and more anxious the longer it's been since the failure has changed. I don't care if it's still failing, but I want to see the failure change.
That makes good sense.
So now we've seen the failure change, and I feel much better.
Interesting. I like that.
And because it means that what we just did was real.
Right. Like all the code is talking to itself in some way, and
we've just seen something go end to end from our inputs to real outputs. So now we can start saying, okay, how do we get from the result that we have now to the result that we want?
Okay.
And I would hint that the answer is something that we do in the initializer.
Yeah. I would be inclined. I don't know if this is. Well, I guess we could just write it all in the initializer and then refactor it out later. I was going to be like, oh, we'll just call this other method and then do it all there, but we can just pull that out later.
Yep, extract method is a thing.
Okay. So we'd have to, at least my thought process is we would go through each arg and then do something based off of it.
Yeah, I would probably do this before assigning to at files, or in the process of assigning to at files, maybe.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, a simple way to do this might be to start with, instead of what we're doing now, start with at files equals empty array.
And then we'll just shove stuff into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there are more functional ways of doing it that we could refactor to, but I think that the most straightforward way to begin with is to start with a blank list and then go through and shove stuff into it.
Okay. This could be a map. We could do files equals whatever .map, but we'll just seems super basic. So then,
all right,
I'm inclined to say first see if it has a star, and if it doesn't have a star, we'll just shove it. We could say if it doesn't have a star, shove it straight into files.
So if pattern dot.
Nope, that needs to be an array. Dot match, or
no, pattern is a string at this point.
Okay, so pattern dot unspacing, but I know you can just do a regex search. You can just pass it a. Oh, it can do that. Nope.
Yeah. Yeah, equals tilde.
Equals tilde. Thank you. Need to
slash
that, and maybe trying to escape that and make that a regular expression match. Files pattern. That's not how you shuffle. Is that how you shuffle things into files?
Yep.
Cool. I'm as the usual forgetting how to write code when I'm being observed.
All right.
Okay.
So now we've only kept the star one, and we've shoved it straight in without any globbing.
Yep. So that's not what we want to do in the long run, but that is a different error message
Yep.
We've now retained this.
Right.
We successfully separated this string from the other one.
Yeah. So that tells us something important. All right. So what do we really want to do with star ones? With star ones, we want to do globbing.
Yeah. So I'd be inclined to say call this other glob this method and just handle that elsewhere.
Yeah. Well, let's do it inline for now. We can always figure that out. Let's do. So you can do dir.glob.
Yes, dir.glob, and then we passed in the string of that.
Is that what we want, or do we want to use the pattern that we've been given?
Yeah, because what were we doing? What did we do up here? We were just globbing the splat C returned everything. It wasn't just, okay. Because dir.glob star would just return everything that's in the directory.
Mm-hmm.
But we'd want to just dir.glob pattern, and we'd shove that in.
Yeah, there's one sneaky thing here though. Well, go ahead and run the test.
I bet that it's going to try to shove an array into an array.
Yep, you're absolutely right. And there's an easy way to get around that. Instead of doing the shovel, do concat.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Run the test.
Sweet. So ABC x.c. Okay. So now we have to hit our else case.
Yeah.
And handle the non-globbed piece. And I think we would just at files shove in pattern.
Yep.
Boom. This is phenomenal fun.
Yeah, this is a cool exercise. I like this.
Yeah. Especially because then I'm going to get, I'll get through probably, I know that there's going to be a collection of tests that exercise the same kind of general piece of functionality. And then once that piece is done, so create with block, then I get to go back and look at what they have, and I'll have a much better, I'll be able, build my crappy version, get a collection of test passing, get a good version, look at what they've got. Probably there's going to be some pen and paper and Googling around to see what the heck this underscore file thing does. They're going to have some stuff I'm not going to see, but all right, this was exactly what I was hoping to find. I was I need let me just delete chunks of the Ruby core library and try to rebuild it from scratch is kind of a big fuzzy piece.
Yeah.
So this is awesome. So yeah, this is exactly what I was hoping to find. And
so
we're at 2 o'clock, so should let go.
Let me give you one piece of advice right here, which is at this point, I would say do a git commit, and then probably get into the habit of committing after you make each one pass.
Okay.
Because I think having the history of this is going to be really interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. There's definitely going to be probably a collection of blog posts that come out of this, so I'll send them your way.
That would be awesome.
As they get written, because this is educational at a low level, but then I think there's going to be meta educational things that are going to come out of this as well, which I'm excited to learn about. And I learn things by writing about them in a way that other people can use it. So I hope to get to a point where I could then be and if you want to do the same thing, here's where to get started or something. So I'll definitely write as I write those up, I'll definitely send them your way.
Yeah, that's a great practice.